What's up YouTube? Jeff back again from dopetechdaily.com. Today I'm bringing you guys an unboxing and size comparison of the Huawei Watch 2. Now I've already taken this out of the box so I can go ahead and pair it with my phone because I want to navigate around the UI, show you guys some of the available watch faces, then do a quick size comparison to the other watches that I have around here just so you guys can see how it compares in terms of screen size and also the size of the actual body. Now there isn't anything too exciting in the box. This is a nice packaging here from Huawei. As you guys can see, if you lift up the top, you're greeted with the watch itself in this nice little orange configuration. Again, I already turned it on so we can make this nice and quick comparison. Right here on the inside, you also have the little box that contains your paperwork and also have the charger in there as well. So I'll just show you guys. Nothing too interesting in there. You've got your warranty card, quick start guide, safety, all that sort of information that's standard with any smartwatch or smartphone. So nice packaging from Huawei. I really like that. You do have your charging brick right here, as well as the charging plate itself. Now this one does not have wireless charging like the Moto 360 and some other smartwatches. You'll notice right here on your Huawei Watch 2, you actually have some pins on the inside. They're right there. This guy's gonna clip right onto those pins, like so, and then it's gonna charge like this. You can rest it on your desk, or you can buy a smartwatch stand for charging. They do make smartwatch stands for charging if you're interested in that. I would have liked to see wireless charging, but a whole bunch of my current watches actually have this same setup, so it's not a huge deal. If we look around the watch itself, I'll tell you a little bit about the specs on it. It does have a 1.2-inch Amoled display on the front, so the brightness shouldn't be a problem. I've only used it indoors so far, so I'll have to test that out and do a 48-hour impressions video, some follow-up. It's got two buttons here, one to go home, obviously running Android Wear 2.0, one to go home, and this one's sort of a shortcut button. You can map any app that you want to the shortcut button. You can also press down, of course, to get Google Assistant, just like on the other Android Wear 2.0 watches. It is IP68 certified for dust and water resistance. You've got a nice rubber strap here, which even though it does look a little cheap perhaps, I actually do like the comfortability of this watch. It's very light on wrist, and that could be because I've been wearing the tag Heuer, which is quite heavy, so maybe just in comparison. It does have metal on the back there, of course, where those pins connect as well. A little bit of Huawei branding there on the back. Running Android Wear 2.0, as I mentioned, you have a 420 milliamp hour battery on the inside. So Huawei claims 2-day battery life. We'll see. I just played around with it a little bit on my wrist. Seems to get pretty good battery life out of the box. One thing that I will say that a lot of people have criticized, and I happen to agree, is Huawei put this huge bezel around the watch that's got the numbers there, you can see, to try to make it a little bit more sporty this year. But actually it takes up space, and they actually could have dedicated that to screen real estate, which have made the watch look a lot better in my personal opinion. It's kind of a waste of space to have this huge bezel there. Hashtag waste of space. Drop your MKBHD comments below. I also would have liked to have seen the scrolling button on the side to scroll through your apps in Android Wear 2.0. That's very convenient because when you go into the app drawer, now you have to use your finger, and the screen is pretty small at 1.2 inches, so sometimes it can be difficult when you're swiping from the top with this huge bezel there. It's definitely not the best look in my personal opinion. Huawei tried to go the sportier route this year. They sort of took away the classic design of their first timepiece. I don't know if it was the right decision. You guys can tell me below. I'll form some opinions after a couple days. This is my current daily driver, the Tag Heuer Modular Connected. Just a quick size comparison. The Modular Connected's got a bigger screen on it, as you can clearly see, even though it also has one of those bezels around front with the numbers. I think it looks a little better on this one, even though it's a bigger watch. That, of course, being because it's also a much more expensive watch at $1,700 versus the Huawei Watch 2 Sport, which is at $299. Now, if you compare them from the side profile, you can see the thickness is actually pretty similar. You've got one button on the tag. You've got two on the Huawei watch. I actually prefer having the two-button configuration. Neither one of them have the scrolling button, which would be a nice thing to see. Obviously, the Huawei watch is not made of nearly as premium materials. You have the titanium lugs and everything over here on the Tag Heuer Connected. Also, the strap, much different as well. You've got the titanium clasp on the back. Here's the LG Watch Sport, which I'm a huge fan of actually as well. It does have the 3-button configuration. It does have a much bigger screen than the Huawei Watch 2, as you can see. It also has rubber straps. From what I can tell, the rubber straps on the Huawei Watch 2 do seem a little more comfortable. They're not nearly as stiff as the ones on the LG Watch Sport. If you actually look at the side profile, the Watch Sport is a bit thicker. It seems to be thicker than most of the Android Wear devices, or at least appears a bit thicker to me, other than, of course, the front bezel, but the back portion is quite a bit thicker. You also have a 3-button configuration here. This home button, the hotkey. You can map it to whatever you want. And then the scrolling wheel, which I'd really like to see on the Huawei Watch 2, which we don't have. That's a big disappointment. Of course, the Apple Watch, always a comparison, but the Apple Watch is much smaller, much more svelte than any Android Wear device. You can see the thickness, it might be half as thick. The screen size is actually pretty similar, even though this, of course, is a sort of rounded square design, where this is a full circle design. And then, of course, you've got your LG Watch Urbane here, and this is the LG Watch Urbane 2 LTE. It also appears to have a bigger screen, as you can see, has a 3-button configuration, but no scrolling button. And the thickness actually seems pretty similar, but again, this front bezel piece on the Huawei Watch 2 is taking up some of the thickness. Again, the rubber straps on the Huawei Watch 2 seem to be much less stiff than the ones on the LG watches. I definitely do like that. So one last thing to mention about this watch, I mentioned that it has an AMOLED display on it. The other thing I wanted to mention really quickly is that if you go into the brightness settings, you can see you do have an automatic brightness sensor. So of course that means it does have that ambient light sensor, so you can get automatic brightness. I do think that's a great feature to have on an Android Wear device. So I will run this for a couple days, maybe do 48-hour impressions. Then of course I'll have a full review in maybe 10 days or a couple weeks. We'll see how I like it. There's been a lot of negativity around this particular watch, so I wanted to get into it and give you guys my opinion on if it's really as bad as some of the other people have said. All right, guys, so that's my full unboxing, quick size comparison to the Huawei Watch 2. If you guys have questions, drop your comments below. You can find me at dopetechdaily.com, Google+, Instagram, and Twitter. The link's in the description. I appreciate you guys checking out the video. Please let me know how you guys like my new intro. This is the first video that has ever featured the new intro. Drop those comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.